Okay, when we talk about consumption, we don't mean buying a pizza. We mean the total of everything that you buy. Your total spending as a person, or our total spending as a nation. Okay? What does our spending depend on? What does your spending depend on?
My income?
Yeah. Okay. One of the names of this model is, this model has several names, is the Keynesian Cross. It looks like Keynesian, but it's not. Okay? John Maynard Keynes, we're going to discover, was the father of macroeconomics. And he said, there's a fundamental psychological law that says people's spending depends primarily on their income. Okay, so income. So what Keynes said was, consumption depends on, you don't have to write this down, consumption depends primarily on income, but it also depends on other stuff. Okay? But let's focus on the income story here. Here's the actual equation. A plus B times Y. You'll recognize this as the equation of the line, right? So this is the income piece. This is the everything else, the other stuff. Okay. Let's take an example. If you just look at the numbers, what you see is your income goes up, so does your spending. Okay? Let's try something a little different. Try graphing those numbers. I know some people don't like graphs because they remind them of math, but a graph is really just a picture, and oftentimes you can learn more from a graph than you can from 1,000 words. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 200, 300, 400, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if we can plot the points. When your income is 0, you spend 40. Wait a minute. When your income is 0, you spend 40. Is that possible?
You have to survive somehow.
Is anybody not currently employed for money this week? Yeah? How do you do it? Okay, you bum off your parents. Okay, how else could you do it? Yeah, Jordan?
I have money like on my debit card and stuff from when I worked over the summer.
Savings. Yeah. What's the American way? Credit. Yeah. Okay. So in fact, it is possible to spend when you have no income. Americans do it all the time. Okay. All right. So when your income is 100. We spend 120. When your income is 200, we spend it all. When our income is 300, we spend 280. When our income is 400, we spend 360. And if you connect those dots, you get a line. Okay, that line is the consumption function, or the consumption curve. Okay, just like the demand curve is a demand curve, showing price versus quantity demanded, the consumption function shows the relationship between income and our spending. Okay, now, there's two things that you should notice, well, three things that you should notice from this. One, it's a positive relationship. The higher your income, the more you spend. Okay. Two, here's a question that we don't ask much in principles of economics. How much? Okay. If your income goes up by 100, how much does your spending go up by according to the graph or according to the table? 80. Okay. Does it depend on what your income is, or is that 80 the same at every level of income? It is the same. It's a straight line. Okay. If we did the math, we could look at the change in spending and the change in income. This is easy. 100, 100, 100, 100. This one is 80, 80, 80, 80. So the slope of that line, the change in consumption divided by the change in income, is 0.8. Or to say it differently, for every dollar that we earn, we spend 80 cents of it, 80% of it. Okay? That's a pretty good estimate for the US economy over the longest term. Okay? We earn $100, we spend 80. Okay? This idea, the slope, okay, has a special name. It's called the marginal propensity to consume. Marginal propensity to consume. Or the MPC for short. If our marginal propensity to consume is higher, what happens to the graph? It rotates counterclockwise, if you are familiar with that term even. This point stays the same, but the slope gets steeper. Right? Because the slope is the marginal propensity to consume. Okay? Now the third thing that you should see from the graph is this. If your income is 0, you're still spending, right? Which is another way of saying that income is not the only thing that matters, right? There are other things that affect spending too, and we'll get back to those in a minute.